Last month, Tesla announced one of the biggest price drops in TV history by lowering the price of its Model Y by almost 20%. This move caused a stir in the auto industry. A few weeks later, Ford made its own price cut on the electric Mustang Mach-E. Analysts and experts are watching to see if other automakers will follow suit. While these price cuts are good news for consumers, they could also be a sign that change is afoot in the EV industry. Price cuts across a company's lineup or on a specific vehicle are quite rare in the auto industry, although not unheard of. Most automakers use incentive campaigns that can change from month to month to lower prices. The price cuts by Tesla and Ford surprised many in the industry because prices have been steadily increasing over the past year. The costs of making the battery and some other parts of the EV are also steadily increasing. To absorb these rising costs, manufacturers have had to increase prices on some vehicles. Supply chain constraints have also squeezed inventory and driven prices higher. In addition to the rising costs of raw materials, the amount that Tesla slashed off its prices came as a surprise. Analysts agree that it was really a move to grab market share. Tesla is already the #1 seller of EVs in the US, but they have ambitions to sell even more vehicles than they do now. Regarding the future of the EV market, competition is likely to increase as more automakers enter the market and consumers have more choices. This could lower prices and stimulate innovation as manufacturers try to differentiate their vehicles and offer a unique value proposition. Lowering the prices of EVs could also increase their acceptance among the broader population and contribute to global efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Tesla stated that it wanted to lower prices enough to qualify many models for the $7,500 federal tax credit to attract new buyers. However, on February 3rd, the Treasury Department said it would relax its rules classifying cars like the Tesla Model Y and Ford Mach-E as SUVs, which should qualify most of those models for that federal tax credit, even at their original higher prices. The next day, Tesla increased the price of the Model Y by $1,000 or $2,000 depending on the model, but prices are still below where they were in January before the steep cuts. Price really matters. I think there are a vast number of people who want to buy a Tesla car, but can't afford it. And so these price changes really make a difference. Tesla has the scale and wiggle room in its operating margins where it can make bigger cuts on its vehicles. So when they slash 20% off a vehicle, it doesn't automatically mean they're losing a lot of money on these vehicles. However, Ford is in a different situation. It's the #2 EV seller in the US. Tesla's goal was to lower prices enough to make many of its models eligible for the $7,500 federal tax credit in order to attract new buyers. However, on February 3rd, the Treasury Department announced that it would relax its rules, allowing cars like the Tesla Model Y and Ford Mustang Mach-E to qualify as SUVs, making most of those models eligible for the federal tax credit even at their original higher prices. The following day, Tesla increased the price of the Model Y by $1,000 or $2,000, depending on the model. Nevertheless, price still matters for many potential buyers, as there are many people who want to buy a Tesla but cannot afford it. Tesla has the scale and operating margins to make bigger cuts on their vehicles, and so they can slash 20% off a vehicle without necessarily losing a lot of money on it. However, Ford is in a different situation, as the #2 EV seller in the US, with slimmer margins to work with. Ford's first all-electric SUV, the Mustang Mach-E, was losing money due to the rising costs around the battery, which is the most expensive part of an EV. Ford has been able to reduce prices on the Mach-E because its supply chain is now more efficient, and production costs are coming down. Clearly, with their response just in the last week, they think it's important to be competitive with Tesla on the pricing front. As the market leader, Tesla can make pricing decisions that put pressure on competitors, and Ford is one of the only companies that responded with its own price cut. It remains to be seen if other companies, such as GM and Volkswagen, will follow suit. Tesla's recent price cuts, followed by Ford's own price cut on the electric Mustang Mach-E, have sparked interest in the EV industry. While price cuts are good news for consumers, they also indicate that the tide is changing in the EV market. Price reductions across the board or on specific vehicles are rare in the auto industry. However, Tesla and Ford's price cuts surprised many in the industry, as prices have steadily increased for the past year or so. Rising costs of battery production and other EV parts have led to higher prices, with supply chain constraints also driving prices up. Tesla's goal in lowering prices was to qualify many models for the $7,500 federal tax credit, and the Treasury Department has now relaxed its rules on classifying cars like the Model Y and Mustang Mach-E as SUVs. This should qualify most of those models for the federal tax credit, even at their original higher prices, while Tesla has the scale and wiggle room in operating margins to make bigger cuts on their vehicles. Ford is in a different situation, as the number 2 EV seller in the US. With slimmer margins, Ford may be losing money on their vehicles when they cut prices, particularly as battery costs continue to rise. There is speculation that Tesla's price cuts are an attempt to start an EV pricing war, but most carmakers have not responded with price cuts of their own. However, there is tremendous pressure on EV sellers to poach as many customers as possible from Tesla, and keeping prices competitive is an effective tactic. Customers now have a few more affordable EV options to choose from, and this could mean a change in pricing on other models in the future. Prices could also increase throughout the year, particularly if battery costs keep rising. Overall, the EV market is becoming increasingly competitive. While a full-on pricing war has not yet broken out, there is tremendous pressure on EV sellers to remain competitive. Customers can expect to see more affordable EV options in the coming months, and analysts and experts will be watching closely to see how the price cuts affect Tesla and Ford's bottom line.